Shibam, when do you want to meet this week? You sent me a
Kiran, you're
WhatsApp.
live. Sorry to interject. You're live. You can get started now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the Chlorophyll podcast to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Chlorophyll. Today, we have a very special person, Shibam from Atomberg. There's a lot of things to learn from him, as you will discover soon. Shibam is Forbes 30 under 30 winner, and Atomberg is been called the revolution in fans. So you can expect something from this startup turned legend today. Shibam, welcome.
Thank you so much, Kiran. Too many praises, not so much used to it.
So we are going to start, Shibam. Your own story as a startup has been described everywhere, but I want to start with a very interesting phrase that is there on your display, which is Invictus Moriore. I want you to first start before we come to brand. I want you to first start by explaining the importance of that phrase and how you lived up to it in the initial years.
I never realized that you like actually go to my WhatsApp status and check this. I like set it up like long back. Um, and yeah, so I think Moriore Invictus, what essentially that means is basically death before defeat.
I see.
And it's basically a Latin phrase, and you will see it using in many historical incidents like let's say, Roman Empire and all that stuff. You will see that they
Okay.
use it very frequently. Now, what does it mean, and how one can actually live by it in the real world? So it can be I mean, in this world, anyone, be it a person, brand, company, institution, a country, all of them have uh, a a belief system in on their own, right? All of them have that how the world should run according to them. So they have it can be an idea, it can be a philosophy, it can be, let's say, an empire, it can be anything, but essentially it's your own belief system. Now,
Okay.
what happens most of the time, there will be always a situation where your opposition, your enemy, it can be another country, another empire, it can be sometimes maybe your own self doubts, right? Which try to put you in a situation where they will ask you, in I will let you survive if you let go your belief system, right?
Beautiful.
And essentially at that point in time, the belief is that you choose death before defeat. So you don't compromise on what you really believed in, and you actually choose death, but you will not compromise what you really believe. It can be a philosophy or whatever that defines you. Is essentially what that's been more philosophically just before defeat.
Fantastic. And how did it help you in those, from 2012, 2015, 2016, as you slowly started winning your battles for your dream of, disrupting the fan industry? How did this play out to you? Were there really moments when you were situations demanded that you give up your belief system?
Yeah, no, I think knowingly, unknowingly, we have lived by this principle. Not I as an individual alone, but also as an organization. And if I look at our history, maybe I can give you two, three instances throughout the history where maybe one can relate to this philosophy to an extent, right? So, for example, when we started in 2012, we started with a dream of saying that we will become a global engineering company. Now,
Wow.
in 2012, India was all about services and software, right?
Correct.
And it was never about building a global engineering company. And we never had the idea of, let's say, fan came in 2016, right?
I see.
2012 to 2016, the initial 4 years, we probably tried 4 or 5 ideas, all around engineering. All of that failed. We pivoted like 4 or 5 times, right? Now, every time we failed, there were always, it can be sometimes it was self doubt, it can be sometimes the incubator, it can be sometimes the peer group, anyone or the situation in general will always try to put your question saying that, do we really want to build a global engineering company, or do you want to shift and, let's say, pivot to a software service company, right?
Right, right, right.
And we always try to stick by saying that no matter what, let's try give it one more chance. Let's see, can we actually build a global engineering company, global hardware company, right? So if I look at the early 4 or 5 years, I think that's probably what I will say is a true principle
Yes.
of modern investors, right?
Yeah.
Then if I look at, once we started fan, somewhere in 2015, 2016, um, we thought that, to really build a consumer durable brand, you'll have to have control in manufacturing. You'll have to have control in supply chain. You'll have to have control in design, uh, distribution, brands. Essentially, we're talking about building a 360-degree full stack consumer brand company, right?
Correct.
Uh,
Correct.
who does not only sell in online, but also have the ambition to go into offline as early as possible and scale there. Now,
Correct.
if I look at the history, if I look at, let's say, that point in 2015, 2016, you know, I remember talking to investors on call, and the moment I say that we own manufacturing, they used to actually cut the call, right? Saying that we don't invest in manufacturing. Now the situation has changed. If you today tell that you are actually a manufacturing company, they will come and tell you all the money that you want, right? But
Wow.
it was not the case 8 years back. It was not the case 8 years back, when, uh, I mean, before Atomberg, which is a very large hardware startup outcome, I don't remember in India in the last 10,
Correct.
15 years,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So building a hardware startup itself was a very different views, right? And in the entire journey, whenever we used to raise capital, right? For us, the raising capital was not that easy. Maybe that's a different discussion for some other day. But whenever we went to raise capital, many a time we got advices where, they said that you make these changes in the business model and then I will invest. For example, I remember in 2018, a large investors came and asked us that, you are trying to build a one category going deep, going offline, online, everything, have your own manufacturing, etc. Why don't you do one thing? You just build a brand online, which means you get into multiple categories fast. Don't go one category deep, but it's a 10 category online, right? And if you do that, I will give you the money that you want. And at that point in time, we hardly have like 3 months of runway, and there was no other investor who was the that offer was there. It was probably a very difficult decision for us, but we decided to not, budge into that. We decided that no, we will not do that. We'll stick to what we believed in, and maybe there will be someone who can actually relate to what we are saying. Right? So this is another example, and there are many more examples. Someone said that, you don't go full-fledged manufacturing, you outsource manufacturing. Someone said that you don't design, you get to multiple categories. But over a period of time, while raising capital, we faced this many a time. But I think in overall, what our philosophy was that, what we believed in, if you can debate on those fundamental assumptions, if you can defeat on those assumptions, we'll be happy to change. But we will not be happy to change just because you believe in something which, and there is no logical explanation why we should not believe what we believe, right?
Correct.
So I think that's what is all about living by the principle of modern practice.
Invictus. Yes. Fantastic story. So, Shibam, let's cut to 2019 when we met first. As I said, you are one of the few clients who said, whatever your fees, I can increase them so long as you build a brand. I hope you didn't think it was a mistake then. But I want you to answer the question in two dimensions. One is, what were you expecting from branding? Because you have this engineering background, you're very good at creating the full stack system, manufacturing, distribution, online. You all are masters of online. But when you come to thinking of branding, what was the expectation?
Right. No, then absolutely. I think um, No, before that, probably I will just quickly answer, or I'll quickly address the first statement that you made, that why we said that will of will pay you more. I don't know whether we actually ended up paying you more or not. That's a different outcome. I mean, the philosophy that we always lived by in Atomberg is that, let's say, for the simplicity, you spend 100 rupees, right, on whatever you want to spend on, and let's say there is a return you can expect from 100 rupees. It can be 250, 300, 350, 400. It can, whatever. I mean, the return can be a function of how
Got it.
effective the 100 rupees has been spent, right? But most of the time, what people do, they try to figure out that, can I achieve 300, which probably is not a best case outcome, but maybe an average or above average case outcome, by not paying 100 rupees, by let's say paying 90 rupees. But what we try to see is that by paying 110 rupees, can we try to increase the probability of hitting the 400 rupees return, which is the best case return, right? So that's what we always believed in, and that is why probably we also offered you something which we discussed. I don't know whether we ended up paying or not. That's probably for you to decide. But that's what the philosophy is all about. Now, coming to the question that, what we were expecting back in 2019, right? So, if you look at the journey of Atomberg fans, 2015 to 2018, 2019, we were largely spent our resources, time in building a great product, which people
Yes.
really love, and ensuring that digitally through online e-commerce, etc., people are willing to try out the product. So we're doing good in terms of product. We're doing good in terms of online sales, right? But in 2019, we entered the offline market. And when we entered the offline market, we realized that product is probably 70% of the job, but it's still
Okay.
not the 100% of the job, right? Maybe 60%, maybe not 100%, right? But what is important is that at the end of the day, a consumer has to come and ask for your brand in that counter. That is the
Correct.
only way you can scale the offline business. So you'll have to create brand, and there can be multiple layer of it, be it awareness, etc. But essentially, a consumer has to come and create the demand, right? So demand generation cannot be the responsibility of the retailer or the counter. Demand generation becomes the responsibility of the organization, which in our case was Atomberg, right?
Right.
And at
Right.
that point in time, we realized that if you really want to build a large offline business or a large business in general, you'll have to create a brand. So for us at that point in time, if I want to put it simplify, there are many objective a brand can do or a brand does. But in 2019, at that stage, the objective was to generate demand or generate business. So whatever you do in
Okay.
terms of brand activities, right? Be it in terms of, let's say, simplifying the content, building the communication pillar, choosing the right media, or the creative, whatever you want to put, all of that has to
Right.
essentially come and generate demand at the counter, right? So that was the objective in 2019, I will say. I think
Yeah.
which we have done extremely well, or
Yeah.
you have done fairly well for us.
Yeah. So 2019, I think you were doing 5 crores per month. Now it has crossed 100 crores per month. So now that we have reached 2024, uh, there is a way in which whatever our conversations have been, there is a way in which you want to grow. You want to grow at a pace which is again not similar to legacy brands, right? What you said was that is not the way I want to grow. I want to grow faster, almost at a disruptive pace. Is there a role brand will continue to play in this the future where we will uh, we will grow at a pace unseen before, and especially in a durable brand? I don't know if all the viewers know, we Atomberg has already launched mixer grinders. It has launched smart locks. I use all these products. I know they are fabulous products. Uh, so Shibam, what could be the role of the brand as you plan to grow at a very different pace from the legacy brands?
Sure. And I think, Kiran, I mean, my belief system is that as the organization become more and more matured, as the time passes, um, the role of brand keep increasing, right?
Okay.
So so let's say
Interesting.
if I'm 2015 at the day zero, right? It is the product which becomes extremely important. In 2019, let's say the brand has a role to play in terms of generating demand. In 2024, the role of brand will even increase further, and 2030 it will be even more, right? And if I look at, for example, 100 years old brand, etc., right? The role of the brand is still very critical. If, for example, Nike or anyone for that matter, right? They're all legacy brands, but the role of brand is still very relevant and very,
Correct.
very critical. And in fact, with time, the complexity and the requirement and the objective
Yes.
increases. So, right.
Yes.
So my belief is that with time, it will just an increase in cycles. The role cannot, it can never be a downgrade cycle, always an upgraded cycle. Right? And it's beyond just creating the media and the investment. Now, if I look at 2019 and 2024, right? Now, what has changed for Atomberg? Right. So in 2019, Atomberg was, I mean, no one knew about Atomberg.
Right.
Atomberg was a clean slate, right? Fast forward today, there is an association with the Atomberg. Now people know Atomberg. A significant chunk of the consumer households will probably know Atomberg. Probably a lot of them have really actually used Atomberg product, right?
Yeah.
They have a certain association about the Atomberg product. It can be fan, it can be BLD, it can be energy efficiency, it can be technology, whatever. There are going to be some association, right? Which was not there 5 years, 6 years back.
Yeah.
Atomberg 5 years back was a single category product, right? So our objective of the brand was to ensure that Atomberg fan becomes popular, right? And the business gets generated. But today we have mixer grinder. Today we have smart lock. Today we have, let's say, we'll be coming out with one or two more categories
Right.
down the line. So you have like multiple categories. So you have like 7, 8 categories, right? Now you have a certain association of a brand and you have now launched multiple categories and you want that association to be consistent across categories, right? um, 5 years back there was no meaningful competition, right? Now what does that mean? uh, the competition used to ignore Atomberg at that point in time, right?
Okay.
So the
Okay.
competition intensity was low because I mean we were nobody in 2018, but 2024, we were someone who had actually come and disrupted one category. So that
Correct.
means we have the probability of disrupting any other category as high as what we have done with fan. So that means
Fans.
today, whenever we launch a category, the competition intensity is far higher than what it was in 2017, 2018, right? So you have a competition intensity which is very different. You have categories which are multiple than only single category. You have a brand which now has a certain amount of awareness, certain amount of associations, right? And at the same time, you want to grow faster than the legacy brand, right? You have to still generate business, right? But here now the role of the and the last part is the product. Now 2018, you had a product which was extremely differentiated, right? There was no
Correct.
other BLC player, there was no other
Really.
technology player. But today there will be competition. Maybe we have 60% market share, but 40% is still with competition. That means there is someone else who can also claim what you want to claim in terms of product feature and functionalities, which was not there 5, 6 years back, right? So that means the situation has changed so much, the environment has changed so much that the brand role has become more and more complex. So today, the brand responsibility, in my opinion, is not only creating the business or growing faster than the organization. That has to be done. That is like by default, but
Okay.
also it has to ensure that we create a moat. Can brand become a moat for us? Which was
Good.
uh, never an objective in 2018. There was objective to create a business. Now, not only business, not only grow, but you also ensure that beyond product, Atomberg as a brand becomes the
More.
moat for let's say next few years, right? And you have to ensure that the moat or the consistency remain across categories, right? So how do you again
Really.
visualize your entire communication lever, the pillars, everything has to be again come back and take a shape to ensure that outcome is there 5 years down the line. So I think the role of the brand has now even become more and more complex.
Yes. Yes. The earlier you said it was Invictus Moriore. Now all the articles on Atomberg talk about the phrase "Why not," and it was
Yes,
something that we came up with together.
correct.
Quickly touch upon
In
"Why
fact,
not" because it's a very handy phrase that you can use against anything.
hmm. Well, absolutely. I think this was one of the great outcome that came out between both of our collaboration in 2018, right?
Yeah.
And the responsive and I think the real um, uh, you know I mean, the real test of Atomberg will be to actually live by that now. At that point in time, when the complexity have increased so high in terms of
Yes.
competition, new product differentiation, everything, right? So why not? Essentially, is nothing but if we look at our story, our history, our the way we have built the organization, right? We're always faced with cynicism, right? We always, whenever we want to do something that can we really build a global engineering company, very difficult. No one has done it in the past. Can we become, let's say, and hardware company? No one has done in the past. Can India manufacture in 2016 or 15? No one has done in the past, right? So it was always this no one has done in the past, and we always tried to overcome that by saying that why not and why can't we do that? Someone else will do it, so let us be that person and let's do that, right? So that is what why not was today. And now today, if I let's look at has in India any hardware global consumer durable brand has been built out of India? Probably the answer is no. But then the answer is saying that why can't we become that company,
We
right?
do that.
Why
Yeah.
why not, right? So I think today the responsibility of Atomberg is to actually deliver that why not philosophy at scale,
Correct.
and yeah, so do that.
No, no, I'm sure you're going to do that. One last question. We'll there are any questions from the audience. But before that, Shibam, from one small village in Northeast to now a poster boy for innovation, poster boy for disruption, how have you changed as a person, as a human being? What are the things you overcame? What are the things that were barriers? And today you feel happy that I've overcome this. So there all the articles about you mention an education that was not English. So what is it that has happened from 2012 to 2024 to Shibam, the human being?
No, I think before getting into, let's say, what has happened in 2012 to 2024, I will say if I look at my history of, let's say, growing up, right? So as you mentioned, I was not able to study in English medium school because there was no English medium school at that point in time until class six,
Correct.
where my parents used to work. Then in class six, I shifted to Guwahati, but it was too late for me to switch to English medium school immediately. So I continued studying the Bengali medium school until class 10. And then in 11th, I went to, let's say, study for, science stream, etc. But there I realized that it was very difficult for me to. I mean, there were one difficulty is to actually grasp the concept, but for me to, for example, simple thing like speed or velocity, right? Now those terms were unknown to me, which was very obvious for others. For me, I have to think about what was the Bengali terms for it, and then relate to the Bengali concept, and then you go to an English concept, and then you do it, right? So I mean, language is just one example, but if I look at, let's say, when I actually came to IIT, so my friend circle used to be always, the professor were always overachiever. Someone have done, someone has cracked some Olympiad, someone has done so. But I was never that kind of overachiever. I was never I always used to top in the school, but because the school was not that great, right? So I always just think that I probably in an area where I used to top, but maybe the competition was not that great, right?
Okay.
But as I graduated, let's say, from a village to a city to a 11 12 kind of coaching center, from coaching center to, let's say, IIT, my surrounding kept changing
Right.
with a lot more achiever than what used to be in the childhood, right? And most of the time, I always used to have self doubts, or not self doubt, but always used to have a doubt saying that, can you actually overcome those challenges, right? And there are always an period in all these situations, where I used to go through this ups and down of emotions, saying that, someday I feel very positive that I will do it, I'll do it, and then sometimes there is a lot of negativity saying that, I lost like 10 years, 15 years in the past. Now, can I now do it and try
Right.
to match at the speed with my peer group? And the same happened with Atomberg also, right? But not only knowing and knowing, but if you look at Atomberg in the journey, so 2012 to 2015, A lot of our
Correct.
peer group companies like housing, etc., all of them have raised capital, and we're like nobody at that point in time. No one used to believe in manufacturing hardware, but this happened, over a period of time and time and time. And I think over a period of time now, what has happened to me as an individual, I have become probably, my belief system has now become saying that if I can dream something, I can achieve it. It doesn't matter how much time I have lost in the past. I'm still 30 and I
Right.
have more 70, 30, 40 more years to go. And if I, so I think my outlook of the world has changed because of this small experiences, small success. And
Yeah.
today, if I want to achieve something, I will never, it will never come to my mind that because of my past or because of my circumstances, I cannot achieve it. So that situation, that doubt will be not there. I will give my effort saying that if I want to achieve this, let's ensure what all need to be done and let's try to do whatever I want to do. It's today, if I want to learn coding, I can learn coding also. I mean, that kind of belief system that I have in me, and that probably have come through this journey of Atomberg and, of course, the
Fantastic.
childhood.
So the past is no longer a barrier. It's a fantastic change
No,
for
I
you.
think the past has now become a force for me. That because you have seen so many challenges and seen so many
Overcome them.
small successes, so I think it has now become a confidence booster for me that you can. I mean, I'm probably have not realized, but in the childhood I actually had a stammering problem. Right?
Oh,
So I used to stammer. I can't speak like more than 5 minutes at one go. I mean, whatever
no.
5 minutes, not even like one sentence. Even you will see that when I speak, sometimes I speak fast. Right.
Hmm.
That's because of that stammering issue. And I was stammering until 2017, 2018. Right.
My God.
Uh, and from there I have changed. So I've seen a lot of these changes. I think that has probably just helped me increase my confidence.
Beautiful. So we'll just check with the studio whether there are any questions. Here, there is a question. What's your advice to any startup now? Yes or no? Should do, should not do.
Look, I think advice is not specific to any hardware or software startup, right? My advice is very generic to any startup, is saying that if you really believe in the problem statement, right, if you think that you are solving a problem, doesn't matter whether it is a hardware or it is a software, that is like the how part of it. What is important is that what part of it, which is that, are you really believing in that problem statement that you want to solve and address for? If you have to do it, you should go ahead and do it. What has changed in the hardware, you know, uh, and the hardware ecosystem now and then is that today there are enough support system available to you. So for example, investment, manufacturing support, supply chain support, government support, a lot of it has only changed in a right direction. But that does not mean you should start a startup in hardware. What it should mean is that if you really believe you can solve a consumer problem or a institutional problem, if the mode of solving that problem is through hardware, there are enough support system available today to support you.
Correct. So thanks, Subhendu. Any more questions? Rahul, what is the role logo change played in the journey of Atomberg? Do people relate to it, recognize Atomberg through it?
Um,
You know where this
I
is
mean,
coming from.
it's a very tricky question, and I will say it, like this way that what is more important. I mean, when we look at, let's say, when this logo change happened in 2019, 2020, at that point in time, Atomberg was known as uh, multiple brand names, right? Atomberg, Gorilla,
Yeah, I think that
uh,
simplification was better. Yeah,
yes, Renesas Plus, etc. Right? So, and for consumer, their mind space is less. They cannot remember like so many things for a particular institution. So our problem statement was that let's simplify things. Now, while simplifying things, we came out with saying that we'll only focus on Atomberg and let go all other sub brands. And
correct,
while focusing on Atomberg, we said that maybe then if we're defining Atomberg, then why don't we define it completely holistically? Then we came
correct,
out with why not. Then we said why, if it is why not, does the logo has also as a chance of maybe slightly have a better logo. So
correct.
logo was not the primary objective to begin with. We begin with saying that simplify the brand
Simplification.
communication, yes, and brand content, and that's how it started. The Atomberg was the main decision that will only hold on Atomberg and let go all others. why not? And logo became, let's say, I'll say 20% of the job, which we just changed because we believe that was a better thing to do, and that narrate the story better.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's about what we have. Oh, there is one more. We'll quickly take that. Do you think branding becomes even more important once the category creator advantage starts to win? I think you have answered that in part. Yeah.
Yes, correct. So I think as we discussed, like the role of brand in 2023. So I think yes, with time, uh, at in a very long period of time, if I look at, let's say, history of 30, 40, 50 years, at least for a consumer brand, brand and distribution takes a larger responsibility
Correct.
uh, than product. Product is important, extremely important, but we may not have that much of uh, you know um, uh, time in terms of, let's say, having differentiation. So for example, today, if I mean, Apple product is still differentiated, but the moment Apple launch something today, there will be someone else will be doing and copying it very
Right.
soon, right?
Right.
Which
Right.
was so your differentiation has to come out with brand and distribution as the time matures.
Yeah. Yeah. So the brand can become the moat, as you said. Okay. So that's it. Brings us to the end of this really enlightening session with Shibam. Shibam, I've said thank you to in private. Now I have to say it in public. Thank you, Shivam. Thank
Thank,
you. Thank you. And a third
thank you
thank
so
you
much.
to all the viewers. Keep viewing all of it. We'll bring you the fifth episode very soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.